Okay, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the We Know Ball Show, episode number 007. Today, we are going to do a wrap up of the big game that happened. This is officially 8 days after the big game, so we'll kind of go over some of the analysis of that. Just kind of wanted some time to, fully unwind and give some analysis on it. Um, we'll deep dive into some of the way too early predictions here that ESPN has for the 2023-2024 NFL season. It's pretty much just Super Bowl predictions, breakout players, and then the MVP race. We can kind of discuss and talk about that and kind of give some thoughts on that as well. And pitchers and catchers have reported to their camps respectively, and it's time to get the ball rolling for baseball season. So we'll be kind of talking about that, kind of seeing mainly what the Yankees are doing, and just kind of check out everything that's been going on. We also have an interview with a good friend of mine, one of my kind of mentors and bosses in the social media game. And then we'll also dive into some more debate a wall as well. And it's going to be a great show. So tune in. Okay, it is officially 8 days post big game. It was probably some of the greatest 58 minutes of football that I've seen in a very, very long time when it comes to kind of the grand scale of what the game actually was. I loved seeing kind of the offensive battles. You have an electrifying Chiefs offense that just could score at will, and they would kind of have a shorter 3-minute drives per se. But the Eagles knew a perfect formula to beat the Chiefs, and that was extend your drives, manage the time of possession, own the time of possession, limit Patrick Mahomes on the field. And there's a lot of things that I think happened throughout that entire game that kind of made or break what was going on in that game. A lot of things could have happened, on both sides that kind of swung it, going into kind of talking about the AFC Championship game when I kind of broke down, how everything has, a certain kind of outcome. If one play goes a different way, it could shift the entire outcome of a game. So, I congratulations to the Chiefs. Everybody but Patrick Mahomes. Um, you know, Everybody's still saying, he has the capabilities of being the greatest quarterback of all time. I do think he does have that, but he still has a long ways to go. Tom Brady is still the greatest quarterback of all time, but I mean, Mahomes still has so many milestones he has to break. I mean, he has records by, Breeze, Manning, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, so many guys that he has to eclipse in order to kind of cement himself as the GOAT. He's had a great start to his career, a very good start to his career, and I could see him kind of becoming, one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. Now, I will say he is probably the greatest, the best quarterback in the league right now. Yeah, he is. But kind of the storylines of people saying, "Oh yeah, the Chiefs were nothing; they weren't going to be good again this year." I don't really know who said that per se. Um, I mean, yeah, there were some kind of mutterings and chatterings when Russell Wilson got traded because and then Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders. The AFC West is stacked. It's just like the AL East in baseball. It's 4, 5 high caliber, high quality teams, and any team has a chance to kind of win that division. Unfortunately, the seasons for both the Raiders and the Broncos didn't really pan out to what they wanted. But I mean, you still had the Chargers who made the playoffs. And then obviously the Chiefs who made the Super Bowl. So I mean, kind of looking at it from that kind of standpoint, um, if you're a Chiefs fan, you always have that indication of winning the Super Bowl. But outside of being a Chiefs fan, like yeah, you kind of want to see another king on top of that mountain, and so you're gonna want to kind of look at kind of who's who in the zoo, and if you like the Chargers offense and defense, like the Chargers are a good team. Like on paper, they have Bosa, Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., like a whole bunch of dogs on defense. Not to mention their offense. They got Herbert, Austin Eckler. He scores touchdowns like he's eating candy, or taking candy from a baby. Um, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, just a whole bunch of other dogs for the Chargers. Everybody had high hopes for Derek Carr and the Raiders. With Devontae Adams going there, they had that whole Fresno State kind of OG connection that we've seen it work in the past already. You got Burrow and Chase, you got Hurts and Devontae Smith, you got Tua and Jalen Waddle, like so many great weapons and guys that they made their connections in college, and now you see it move on into the NFL. You also look at Russell Wilson. I mean, up until this last year, he was always kind of in the talks for potentially winning an MVP. He kind of had the same cycle every year. He first 4, 5, 6 games, he's in talks of potentially winning the MVP. He gets hurt. He comes back way too early from the injury, plays like dog shit, and kind of the rest is history for Russell. Here, he just kind of got put in a bad spot. I think Nathaniel Hackett was the Broncos' way of trying to get Rodgers to Denver, but didn't work out. Rodgers ended up staying in Green Bay, so they went to their plan B, which was Russ. And now that Hackett is in New York and Coach Payton has come to Denver, I think it might work out. I hope. Kind of give maybe Kansas City, LA, Oakland a run for their money as well, because they don't really have a lot of picks, so they're kind of banking on the future less, and banking for right now to be right now. But anyway, don't count out the Chiefs ever. Travis Kelce, congratulations. I think you probably should have been MVP, but alas, Kermit the Frog and the rest of his Muppet gang can ride off into the sunset, winning his Super Bowl and league MVP. Okay, so we're gonna start some debate a wall topics a little earlier, just because the interview portion is a little bit longer than normal. So we're gonna kind of get rolling into kind of America's favorite segment right away. So, kind of getting started. 2023 NFL predictions, early picks for the Super Bowl, MVP, and some breakout players. This is on ESPN. I didn't really prepare. My big boy job has been working me hard, so been doing that. But no excuses. We're still grinding. We're still putting out episodes every week. So here we go. A lot of these. Some familiar teams that I see. I see Bengals, Niners, Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys, Dolphins. You know, I think if you go off of if everything, you know, everything is obviously going to change with free agency and where guys go, and there's obviously going to be some surprises, and we have the NFL draft and all that stuff. So, it's going to be hard for the Eagles to repeat. I think they lose both their offensive and defensive coordinators. The Chiefs lose their offensive coordinator, but they still have Reed, they still have Mahomes. So don't ever count the Chiefs out. I will probably expect them in the AFC Championship game for sure, barring something wild happening. Um, I could even see the Cowboys maybe making the bowl. I don't see them winning the bowl. They're just not that kind of team. They'll choke eventually. Um, sorry, Kibby. It happens. I think the Niners are a viable option as well. They have. I think the 49ers, top to bottom, have one of, if not the best rosters in the NFL. And I think Kyle Shanahan is a very good coach, if not the best. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. And you can just look at that just statistically, offensively. Wow, that was weird. But if you look at their team offensively, they literally could throw almost anybody at quarterback and they could do very well. I mean, obviously you kind of look at that last game and like, well, kind of what happened, but you had Brock Purdy with literally no elbow going out there, and that offense got very one-dimensional very quickly. But I mean, you look at kind of the run that Brock Purdy had. Jimmy G has been a stud in that offense, and who knows what's going to happen when Trey Lance comes back. So it'll be interesting. The Dolphins, I mean, I think the Dolphins with Tua is a totally different team than the Dolphins without, and you could totally see. I mean, they almost beat the Bills on a third string quarterback in Skylar Thompson. So yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. Another team that I don't see on here, is the Bills. I think the Bills have a very good capability to make it to the Super Bowl. A lot of people don't realize that the Bills didn't have a lot of talent when they played the Bengals. Granted, yeah, the Bengals didn't have like their starting, like three of their starting five offensive linemen, and they played very well. The Bengals backups played very well, so I mean, the Bills missed Von Miller, they missed a whole bunch of guys. I mean, so I think you expect the Bills to make a very very good fight. As well, the Bengals. I'm a huge Bengals guy. I'm gonna ride or die for Joe Burrow all day. And we'll kind of talk more about him later. But I think top to bottom, you got the best wide receiving core in the league. We'll see what happens with this kind of Joe Mixon thing after he assaulted a woman with a gun. And Joe Burrow is the coolest guy ever. So, I mean, the Bengals are solid. They keep everybody on staff so far. Haven't seen anything kind of moving around, but I mean, you got Joe Burrow, Lou Anarumo's defense. Who can't really count them out? So, we kind of move on a little bit to the kind of MVPs. I see a lot of Herbert, Hurts, Joe Shiesty, Mahomes, and that's kind of it. Kind of the same thing. Herbert will be sweet because he gets Kellen Moore, who had an electric offense at Dallas, so he kind of gets those reins with a solid quarterback, and a very high powered offense where a head coach like a Joe Staley, who's more defensive minded, can kind of focus on that. Now, some other guys, Jalen Hurts, we'll see with a new OC and defensive coordinator and how that Eagles roster might shake up. I could still see him be winning or be in the running for an MVP just because he's a dog, he's a leader. He's going to be able to find ways to win games where some players don't. And then Joe Burrow's in here as well. I think he's my vote to an MVP. He'll be my vote to an MVP for years to come. I think he is the second best quarterback in the NFL. Um, he's a good dude. I think he's a great baller. He's a ball player, so I'm excited for him. He is, he's got a great wide receiver room. He's if I hope they hold on to Hayden Hurst. I think he's a good option for him as well. Get that offensive line as healthy as they can, and I think the defensive back room might change a little bit. Jesse Bates is a free agent. Some other guys are free agents as well that hopefully they may try to retain. We'll see. But I think the future is always going to be bright for the Bengals, and you can never count them out. And Mahomes, it's hard for someone to repeat. I know Rodgers literally repeated the last 2 years, so I mean he can definitely do it again. We'll see. Kelsey is getting older, but I mean he shows no signs of aging. So if anything, he's getting better with age, and I'll have some free agents that are going to change the team for the Chiefs just as well as any team. So, I mean, we'll see kind of what happens here the rest of the way. And then this is kind of my take on, some players I'm looking forward to kind of this offseason as well as some teams that kind of are going to, I'm excited to watch and kind of look out for. So just a couple teams just right off the bat. I think the Lions are a good team. I think Frank Campbell is doing a great job up there in Detroit. So I'm excited to see kind of what the future holds for them. They barely missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs by an overtime field goal. So, I hope they do get a chance to kind of bounce back. They get a good draft pick. They get the Rams draft pick. So, and they got to knock the Packers out. So they had they made the best out of the worst situation, I think I would say, in missing the playoffs, but also getting a pretty solid draft pick in the Rams losing. That being said, exciting to see them kind of take the next step as well. As well as kind of the Giants and the Commanders. The Commanders today just hired Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, to be their assistant head coach and their offensive coordinator as well. Not really sure about that move. I think it's maybe they're kind of grooming him to be their next head coach when Rivera is done in Washington, because I think there are just some times where I really question whether Rivera's head is in the game. I mean, he didn't know he could have been eliminated from the playoffs. And he's just kind of up there. You start Carson Wentz in a game where you need to win to stay in playoff eligibility when you had Taylor Heineke, who just went on an absolute run. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see kind of what the future holds for them as well. So yeah, and then just some players that I'm kind of excited to watch. Trey Lance. Him only being able to play kind of one game doesn't really give anybody kind of a good tail of the tape. And I think Jimmy G is going to be on his way out, and Purdy probably won't be able to play week one. UCL injuries take a lot of time to heal. It's the ACL of baseball. It's mainly pitchers, so that takes a lot of time to heal, especially when your job is throwing a ball. So Trey Lance will be under center taking snaps. So excited for that. He still has even more weapons than when he came in to start the job. He got hurt before McCaffrey got there, so excited to see what Trey Lance can do there. I actually played him in high school at a camp my senior year, so pretty cool to see him kind of balling out. Another guy I like to see is Justin Fields. Liked him in college at OHIO. He was a baller. I think he came back to Ohio State for one reason specifically, and that was to kind of avenge his loss to Clemson, and he did. And he kind of gets a bad rap for being on a bad team in the Bears, and he gets the number one overall pick. And they said they he's essentially the Bears franchise quarterback. He doesn't want to go anywhere. I don't think they want to go anywhere with him. We'll kind of see with the whole Kevin Warren scenario and Justin Fields, with the whole COVID situation. Kevin Warren wanted to cancel the season. Justin Fields said, "Nah, screw you. We're gonna play," and they ended up playing. So see kind of where that dynamic goes. Maybe Kevin Warren wants to trade Fields and start over, but we'll see. So those are kind of my guys that I want to look out for, and teams to look out for as well. Kind of excited what the future holds for the NFL as we kind of close the book on the 2022-2023 season. Okay. Now that the football season is over, it is now time for my favorite season of the year. I've been waiting for this since November. It is finally baseball season. Pitchers and catchers reported. Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, they're in Tampa, pitching, taking, flat ground, some bullpens at George Steinbrenner Field. Super excited. The invites for spring training came out as well. Super excited to see all these young guys play. I'm super excited for Carlos Rodon. I don't know kind of what other words to say other than excited. So, just some kind of storylines that I've seen. Carlos Rodon got some money via Venmo from Yankee fans to come to him and play for New York. So, he ended up signing, and he kind of wanted to give it that money that he got via Venmo and kind of give it to a good cause. And he had a buddy out by the Indiana-Illinois border and saw a kid whose house burned down kind of around Christmas time. So they kind of made his Christmas and kind of gave him some money and kind of helped him out. And Carlos's friend kind of along the way has kind of helped this kid whose house burned down. And it's been great. So love to see one of the boys kind of rooting and showing out for the team. So he's kind of already become one of my dudes. We'll definitely be looking for a Carlos Rodon jersey. Be on the lookout. I'll be repping it in the near future. Another thing, Garrett Cole said that they got waxed in the ALCS, and he's absolutely right. They got swept by the Astros. And granted, yeah, the Astros were the best team in baseball last year, but they didn't even really put up a fight. There was no gas in the tank with Judge. He kind of spent it all going for the chase for 62, and I really don't blame him for that. That kind of sealed his contract, and he's now the captain of the Yankees and one of the highest paid players in the history of baseball. So congratulations to him. But it's time for a ring. I'm excited to see kind of what the future holds. We've got some very good young prospects coming in. Kind of don't. Everyone says kind of don't hold on to prospects, but these kids are I think are something special and are going to make this team very special. I think we have some great kids that will fill up some spots that a lot of Yankee fans have some questions on. Shortstop, third base, left field. You got some big questions, and I think a guy like a Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera. And we got DJ and a whole bunch of other guys to kind of fill those holes. But we're kind of missing a big piece, especially at the shortstop position, since our former captain Derek Jeter had retired, and we're looking for that spark and kind of that missing piece. And so hopefully one of these little young guys can come and be that piece. I think with these spring training invites with all these guys as well, we'll kind of booster and bolster our image as well. And if you didn't really like any of these takes or anything, you can go ahead and debate a wall. But in all seriousness, if there's a topic you want me to talk about or kind of debate, and if you have kind of a take that's different than mine, leave it in the comments and we'll kind of bring it up possibly in other shows. So, bang that line down in the comments below. Okay, we are now at the interview portion of our show. Okay, we are now at the interview section of our show. This is brought to you by absolutely nobody because we don't have any sponsors yet. But please enjoy. This is Mr. Jimmy Randazzo. I call him Coach, Coach Randazzo, because I personally think he might be able to manage the Yankees better than who we have managing right now. I know it's a hard gig, but he's a guy who's worked at CBS Sports, worked at YES Network, so he truly knows ball. So give it a watch, give it a listen. It's a nice, good, long interview. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite bev, grab your favorite drink. If you're sitting down watching this at dinner, enjoy your dinner. Okay, today we welcome onto the show a sports producer with ties to the YES Network and CBS Sports, as well as the founder and CEO of the Sports Chill, Coach Jimmy Randazzo. How you doing today, Coach?
What's up, Cam? How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Getting ready for the baseball season. With football kind of winding down, it's time to pick up them bats.
It's time.
Right. Yeah. So, kind of before we get started, you kind of want to introduce yourself a little bit. Kind of give yourself an introduction as well as kind of how we met.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So, 2015. Let's take it all the way back. Let's take it 8 years back. I was working an office job. And doing something I really didn't like doing at all. Was making not great money, but first of all, you have to work. You have to have a main job. Got to pay the bills. Got to feel good about yourself. But I've always had an ambition to work in sports. And 2015, I started something called the Sports Chill, which is kind of like I started as a blog. It evolved, obviously, in 8 years to like social media and a platform where I really just can talk about whatever I want because that's just honestly the most fun way that I thought to build something. But I used to basically blog 3 or 4 times a day for 3 or 4 years straight. Started working as paralegal, was still blogging like crazy during the office. I was in the office, I was blogging, it was fun. Did a bunch of podcasts, everything, you name it, Instagram Lives, Twitter, talking about sports, and I love writing. And then in like basically within 7 or 8 months, I was hired by CBS Sports Network to work in research and graphics and worked on the Boomer and Carton show, a bunch of fun stuff, doing researching, how many touchdowns Tom Brady had last night, how many receiving yards Odell Beckham had, yards per reception, all those things. And it was fun, continued to blog. And I stopped blogging for a while. I think like basically I want to say in like 2019, for whatever reason, I went back to do something, and it had been like a 2-week span where I hadn't written. There was a lot going on. It was winter break or something, and I just didn't have my eye on it. And the entire blog, the history of the blog, all the things that I had written, completely wiped off the internet for good. It was like, hey, GoDaddy had emailed me and like said, "Hey, we warned you," and like I have screenshots of all these things that I've written, but like basically I lost. I think I was close to 2,000 posts, just gone in thin air, and it was tough. Continued to do stuff. I moved into a new position. I've done a few positions at CBS Sports Network. Right now, I'm like an EVS operator, basically ingest videos and plays them live on air. And I was doing that, and I continued just doing sports show stuff, man on the street stuff, counting down days to opening day, just whatever I wanted to do that day. And 2019 kind of hit a little bit of a break, I would say. I streamed at a Yankee game, wasn't even doing it for content, just out of, I would say, the insane side of my Yankee fandom got me screaming, telling everybody to get up. We're playing against Garrett Cole, game 3, nobody's standing, telling everybody to get up, which was like kind of a little bit of it was a crazy moment because I didn't want to film it, and I looked like a complete lunatic doing it, but like, you know, people were saying like, "Oh, this guy has a point," or, you know, and then people start to like look into who you are and just see like, "All right, this guy's a good guy. He's kind of funny. I'm not really sure what his thing is, but he has somewhat of a sense of space." Or, you know, I've ran into Bill Burr before, and he's talked about me on his podcast, and, you know, like a comedian like that, great, calling me funny just with an encounter. A lot of things just started happening in October of 2019. It was back-to-back weeks. I went viral, and then met Bill Burr, and a lot of crazy things were happening. I had like 4 or 5 people like working for me, writing every single day, and like they were doing their own. We took it to Instagram form where they had their own Instagrams, and they still do to this day. And it was just a lot of things were happening fast, and pandemic hits, and you kind of. I try to transition into like making this blow up and try to be somewhat like a different version of a media company. And it was all fun, but it was just really tough managing people and a lot of ebbs and flows of things. But I love this. Like, I love managing people. I love finding talent. I love helping people more than anything. I've had people that are like, we had a guy named intern Dylan. I met him randomly. I was going to pick up presents for Christmas one day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Miguel and Duhar signing at the Palisades Mall. So I was online. I'm like, you know, I'm going to pay $20 to pay for this random Yankees autograph. There's a 15-year-old kid sitting there with his mom, like saying that he's always wanted to work in sports. I'm like, you know what? This is hilarious. Like, this would be great for content. I mean, so he starts writing on the blog. He's my Jets writer. I have a 15-year-old that's giving like actual insight into Jets stuff, and that kid's now calling games for Penn State. So
wow.
yeah. So like he's calling Penn State. I don't know exactly. I think he did a football game. I think he does basketball. I don't know exactly what he does. He has his own podcast. He does very well in the field. I think he'll be great. I think he's a guy who could be working at, like on camera at ESPN one day or something like that. I like building people up. That's just like the nature of who I am. And I do think that I like being on camera, but I like helping people. But more importantly, I like finding talented people and seeing what they can really do. And that's always what I'll do. So, long story short, I love sports. I'm always going to be in sports. I think that I need to be more consistent, bringing out my voice to the viewer, quote unquote viewer, because basically we're all content creators and we're all viewers at this point. So we all have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can create any way you want. So I need to be more available to the viewer, the consumer, if they really can get to know me even more, so that the sports show can blow up and be something that's really fun to do. And, if that lands me, 8 degrees somewhere else, but I was trying really hard doing it, as long as I'm really working hard in sports, I'll always be pretty happy.
Absolutely.
5-minute answer.
It's okay, no worries. It's a great story. It's a nice come up story.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
Yeah. So, speaking of stories, kind of a tradition we have on the show, just a few questions. The first one, this show is kind of about the fans and for the fans, trying to reach those next people as to why we cheer for some of these teams. So
yeah.
This next segment is called This Magic Moment, and this is a moment in sports where, someone would become a fan, like watching Aaron Judge's 62 home run season this last year, or, Kobe's 81-point game, or, LeBron just passed Kareem for the scoring record all time. So, one of those kind of moments. What would you say is kind of your magic moment?
Okay, so I'm an old man. I was born in December 1989. 80s were wild. I was 7 years old in 1996, and my dad was the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Huge Yankee fan. Was born in the Bronx. Is my grandfather, Bronx police officer. So always a Yankees fan growing up. He would take us to games. I didn't really remember being taken to games, but he would take us to games. And I remember loving Don Mattingly. But the real magic moment was October 1996. I'm 6 or 7 years old, and the Yankees are in the World Series. I had remembered randomly Ken Griffey Jr. breaking the hearts of Yankees fans the year before, and so it's October of '96, and my dad is at the World Series game, and I remember John Smoltz pitching. The Yankees lose 12-0 that day. Or maybe it was 12-1, 12-0 or 12-1. The game was 8-0 by the end of the third inning. And he went to the game. I just remember him not being home, and I was kind of upset, and I didn't really know what the hell was going on because I didn't really know what sports were really at the time or whatever. And then I remember the next day, Greg Maddux puts up a goose egg on the Yankees, and I think it's kind of over. And then, we remember the story, the next 3 games, Atlanta, the Yankees go down to Atlanta, beat the Braves 1-2-3, and then they win Game 6. And I just remember all these things. I was downstairs in the basement watching the game with my older brother. My dad and mom were at a wedding, one of the games and Game 6, and Charlie Hayes catches the ball. Yankees win 3-2. So, that is like a magic moment in the sense that you feel like a winner. You don't really know what the hell's going on. You're 7 years old, and then the Yankees win 98, 99, 2000, and then it starts to honestly become a part of your personality. And it did, because when your team's winning, you have a pep in your step the next day. You feel like a winner. It's stupid, it's silly, but that's the nature of the sport. Sometimes is yeah, I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm a kind of a closeted Knicks fan. I don't want to watch the games. I know there's a 0.0% chance they're going to win the championship. It's not that fun for me. But being a Yankee fan, you always know there's an 8% chance, a 10% chance that they're going to win the World Series. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's frustrating that they haven't won in 12 years. They're spending the most money still. You got to get lucky. But yeah, sorry, staying in the magic moment. That was my magic moment. But I think that really sealed the deal for me. And then I was just hooked on sports. And my brothers always played sports. And so we were all intertwined in playing video games. I mean, video games, I used to know every offensive lineman on every single football team in college, NBA, you name it. So I think that sports had a lot to do. I mean, we'll get to the favorite players later, but there's a reason. Video games is the reason why one of my guys is my favorite players. So it's just a bunch of. I would say that's my magic moment. Yeah, that 1996 October magic moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's my magic moment.
Yeah, it's the start of the dynasty with the core four, and led by my magic moment for as far as Yankees.
No, as far as anything. What got you into sports?
Yeah, so Kobe, I would say Kobe's NBA Finals win over the Orlando Magic, where he stood up and had the ball like this, one of those moments where he kind of finally won his first championship by himself without Shaq. So that's kind of one. The 2009 World Series.
Okay.
That was just that was my first taste and experience of a team that a true Steinbrenner team. Get the best players to win. Find any way to win, and you get a Cy Young winner in Sabathia, Burnett, who's at his peak from Pittsburgh, and then you have Jeter, who's our captain, one of the greatest shortstops of all time. A-Rod, who's a freak, the greatest shortstop to ever play third base, and Teixeira. I mean, you look at Teixeira then, and it was a good addition, but if you look now, it's kind of a wash and kind of a terrible one, because that pick that we traded for ended up being Mike Trout. So it's kind of a give and take, but I'll take the 2009 World Series now for sure as one of my magic moments.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels fun to win. That's really, at the end of the day, it just feels it's fun to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so me, a guy who I really wanted to be like, even though I'm a lefty, was Jeter. Kind of part of that core four of that dynasty. So, who's one of those kids, that you wanted to be like, or, your favorite player growing up, essentially?
So this doesn't bridge us too much, because Derek Jeter's my answer as far as it goes for Yankees, which is such a boring answer, and that's why I came up with a couple other ones. So Jeter for sure. I mean, the guy was, unreal. Basically brought me the happiest moments of my life, other than Eli Manning, and just absolutely just a legend. I was gonna say Mike Mussina. I love Mike Mussina for whatever reason. I'm a huge starting pitching guy. I like complaining about the Yankees when I don't think they're doing enough. But the fact that they have starting pitching, like I can shut up going into preseason if I know that you have good starting pitching. Mike Mussina was great through a perfect game with Mike Mussina in MVP baseball 2005. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. That knuckle curve was crazy. So I love those two as far as Yankees, and then football. I was gonna. Zach Thomas was like my all-time favorite football player because he's 5'9" and he went to 6 Pro Bowls. Was good with the Miami Dolphins Foundation, would do fundraisers, and he was an absolute monster. And it was a time where Urlacher was huge, so my brother was a huge Urlacher fan, so I had to find somebody else that was a linebacker that played the part, and I always liked the underdog story. So I thought he was unreal, and then Frank Thomas was another guy who just smashed. He was awesome. So those are my favorite players growing up.
Yeah, I feel that. As far as football wise, you mentioned Eli. I was a huge Peyton Manning guy. I was a Colts fan. He did bring some of the happy moments for me, going to 2 Super Bowls, only winning 1 as a Colt. But, him moving on to Denver also brought us Andrew Luck, who was another one that I was in love with, and he unfortunately retired too early, and I've been a sad and depressed Colts fan ever since.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to do Saturday? Think he's coming back?
I think he'll come back as an analyst guy, kind of what he was doing originally, because he's really good friends with Jim Irsay, and Jim Irsay likes to hire his friends for jobs.
He's going to be front office, but not the head
coach. Yeah. He'll be the informant for the front office that's on the field, so he can tell the front office what's going on the field for an analyst point of view.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, it was objectively hilarious when he was hired, and then it was even funnier when people got an uproar about it, and then the analysts were redeemed when they lost that. Whatever, they were up 33 points or whatever, and lost that game. So he was an interesting, funny story. I think he gets more crap that he deserves. I don't think, but the real issue is it has nothing to do with honestly calling plays or anything. It's just he was never a coach, so the headset wouldn't work. Eric, he didn't understand how to talk to people. It's yeah, you kind of need to do 1 year of tutelage before you can take over an entire team. And, and it wasn't even it happened in the off season, what the Texans tried to do 2 years ago with Josh McCown. McCown is just all right, it's the middle of the season. I personally think that Jim Irsay went to him and just was hey, we're going to tank this year. Just trust me. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. We're tanking. And I don't think Jim Irsay really cares. I think he knew that there was a 0% chance they were winning the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't really speak in absolutes when there's winning percentages. A 0% chance that the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl this year, even though they made the playoffs. It just wasn't going to happen. So I don't think it was that risky that they signed Saturday, but that's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but
okay.
Yeah, no, we'll see what the Colts do. And you guys, you're going to be drafting a quarterback at 4 anyways, right?
Hopefully. I mean, I like to see them move up to just guarantee that they get their guy, unless it's anybody other than Bryce Young. I think they're going to be able to get their guy, so they won't trade up. I could also see them doing something really stupid because they like their old guys and try to give maybe Aaron Rodgers a second revival in Indy, or Derek Carr. I could see something like that. But, I think first and foremost, they need to figure out their coach, and they're having a rare third round of coaching interviews, which in my opinion, I think they're just delaying it to try to get like either an Eagles OC or DC. I think it's the Eagles DC or the Chiefs OC is I think who they're trying to go for.
Makes sense. Absolutely. We'll see. We will see. That is a funny situation down there. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
It happens. So, the last kind of few years, I've just drifted away a little bit just because I knew, like, something stupid's going to happen and they're going to miss the playoffs like they have been and get, like, a mid-pick. So I was happy that they kind of tanked.
I feel like being a football fan is, like, a completely different thing than being a baseball fan, in which, like, all right, the season's 17 games now. Like, you start 0-5. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to see what Patrick Mahomes is doing every Sunday. I'm going to see what, insert every single person name in the NFL. It's so exciting. People have fantasy leagues, prop bets, what have you. So I think, it's fun that the Giants won. It was like a fun, exciting thing, but if your team has a real chance or not. And if they don't, it's like, well, football is just incredibly fun to watch. Why?
Yeah.
Football is king. It's going to be king for a while, as long as everyone remains healthy on the field forever. And that's just a huge difference. So at least it's not the Yankees. At least 162 games out of a year, we know that we can rely on New York Yankees.
Yeah, for sure. At least hopefully making the playoffs out of that deadly AL East.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I'm not really worried either. Last show
making it.
Yeah, we'll kind of see with this new schedule format where everybody's playing everybody.
It's fine. I'm a huge Manfred defender. A closeted, huge Manfred defender. I know him. I think he's a really smart guy. I think that no matter who is in the position at any time is going to get crap. They're going to catch it. He basically gets paid an absurd amount to take the crap. And that's the job of the commissioner. And I think that his plan all along has been to get the most eyeballs on the game. How could it not be? And that's what they're going to get with playing, the Fernando Tatis is going to play in the Bronx or whatever it is. They play each other once a year now. And, when you're playing the Detroit Tigers 12 times a year, or you're playing, you play your division 21 times a year, like, they had to make it more like the NBA, like the NFL, where it's you promote the player. You have to promote the player. And I think that, now, I think ticket sales are going to go up a little bit. I shouldn't say a lot because of how much the world's changed, but, just being able to see, if the Yankees are playing the Padres, I'm going to want to go see Juan Soto. If I'm the average fan, how could you not want to go see them? Mm-hmm. So you're going to be able to see these guys now, and I think from a business standpoint, it's really smart, and I think a business is important right now for baseball because it's kind of on that teetering kind of out. There's just a lot of things, UFC's in the spring now, and people whatever. We got this new slap league. People are just slapping the hell out of each other, and so you got to make it stay relevant, and bringing in the best guys. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of staying on that topic. We kind of look at some people who you want to go see. Those stars, those dogs in sports, those guys that really have that dog inside of them. You look at LeBron, kind of coming back to the LeBron thing, he's the all-time scoring leader in the NBA. That's huge. Someone who's 38, 39, however old he is, still kind of putting up 30 points a game is ridiculous. You look
What
at.
do you think about what do you think about before you get into the segment? What do you think about that whole he scored and then he ran to the corner and went with his hands up? I don't know. He played it nonchalantly and nonchalantly at the same time. I don't even know if nonchalantly is a word, but at the same exact time, I thought it was a lot. But also, LeBron James, when he was between 17 and 24 years old, was the most dynamic, fun thing to ever watch in the entire world. Buy a basketball, NBA 2K, just to play with LeBron and build a team around him and just dunk on everyone and just use him on offense and defense. And it was just so much fun. So as much as I shouldn't say I just like the man who became. I mean, if you want me to give you a hot take, do I like LeBron James? No, but I understand everything he's done. Once he went down to Miami, it all got then you don't like him anymore, and now he's for the Lakers, so whatever. But I just thought it was interesting yesterday. It's dude, just it's so anticlimactic, I guess, but he was very like Aaron Judge. I guess it's different because you hit the home run, then you see your teammates or whatever. But just the way he goes about it is kind of gross sometimes. So I don't know. Sorry, go ahead with your dogs.
No, yeah, you're good.
I have a list of dogs. First of all, and I was thinking about it because I did a lot of Yankees minor leaguers when I was playing on dogs. But I just want to shout out some positions first before I get into offensive line. Has to be you can. There's a reason why the Eagles made the Super Bowl this year is because they have dogs on their line. They're just, they're absolute dogs. Kenneth Gainwell, looked like Barry Sanders last week against one of the top tier defenses because they have dogs on the offensive line. And then, I always like a fullback too. I like that. I just like Kyle Juszczyk, and I like a fullback a lot. Those are
the
dogs.
90s Nebraska, man. 90s Nebraska.
Definitely. So that's positionally in football, because I could talk about football for days too. And then young dogs, we're going to call them pups. Anthony Volpe, or Volpe, however you want to say it, looks like a dog, and he has all the makings to be a great shortstop. So I'm really hoping for that. A guy that I really hope plays out well, Austin Wells. Catcher, obviously a little less proven than Anthony Volpe, obviously, but just he has that makings of a young dog in him. We went a little bit back and forth, and we talked a little bit off on Twitter, and then we talked a little bit more in messages. I messaged with him. He had to take calling out the Giants, saying whatever, kind of went after the Giants. He's a Bills fan. I had to let him know, listen, I had to let him know, you don't want these people against you.
Yeah.
I was saying it in a nice way to him. I don't want to sound like a loser or anything, but I'm just don't take these people personally, but also take it easy, man. Just because I don't really care what you, but if you don't want a guy hitting 25 home runs for you and getting booed at the same time when he goes to the game. So young kid, and he was on one that night. He was up till 3 a.m. Tweeting stuff. I'm dude, get offline. He's absolute dog on the field.
Yeah,
and then
I like him a lot.
Yasom Dominguez, the Martian, Embrace the Martian.
He's my favorite.
The funniest thing is, like, people are like, trade Dominguez for Brian Reynolds. And I remember before the pandemic, this kid was like a 15, 16-year-old kid. He looks like a 30-year-old man, like just hitting moonshots. And we want to trade this guy for Brian Reynolds because what? He like made an all-star team? Or what? Like, what are we even talking about? Like, if Dominguez has one really, really, really good year, like, I'm gonna be the least happy person on the planet. So that's just, and I know you shouldn't prospect hug, and why are we doing this? That's different. But when you sign a guy when he's like 11 years old, I know that's an exaggeration, but the kid was better at baseball when he was 8 than I was at 24. Like, he's that good and crazy. So those are my dogs.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Dominguez is one of my favorite guys too, but like you said, he can't prospect hug. He was getting comparisons from the likes of like Mickey Mantle and Mike Trout, but like a switch hitting Mike Trout. So it's pretty insane, and you're giving this kid all of your international prospect money, and you just trade him away. I just don't think that would be smart at all, in my opinion.
No, you can't. You can't. Not with him. And honestly, I could like bite the bullet on Volpe if like you trade away Volpe, and I don't know. There's something about when you nickname a guy the Martian, and he can hit both ways, and like I think he can throw both ways. I'm pretty sure he can like pitch with his foot or something. When you start hearing stories about like he's hitting like bottle caps 450 feet at like 12 years old or whatever the hell was going on, I'm like, all right, I'm sold. Let's not trade this guy for Brian Reynolds. Very good player. Very good player. He's not going to be the difference between the Yankees winning and losing the World Series. He's not going to. It's just, it doesn't happen like that. And as much as we want to say, like, oh, the Yankees need a left fielder or whatever, it's like, no, just get starting pitching. Just, if you have a stable of starting pitching, you can win. That's really what it comes down to. Like, they spent money on Judge, Stanton, and Rizzo. Like, you have 3 dogs. So now you're paying for 2 expensive pieces in Cole and Rodon, and I think they were the right guys. I think the contracts are good. And Rodon, I saw him live. He owned us one day, so I'm excited about him too.
Awesome. So kind of we've talked about kind of the bright stars, the big stars, the ones that shine the most usually play in New York. But let's kind of take a look at the other side of the coin here, and kind of the unsung heroes. The pitching coaches. I think the Yankees have the best pitching coach in baseball, even though the manager's kind of stupid. But who are some kind of unsung heroes in baseball that, or not really just in baseball, in sports in general, that you think?
Well, I wouldn't say as much as baseball, but I think a head coach in football is like the most important position. I mean, you look at a guy like Brian Dable. He had probably, if you had to rank just pure talent, they probably had the 24th or 25th best team in the NFL, and the guy takes them to the playoffs without knowing anything. Like, they schemed up. They called times at the right timeout at the right time. They took safeties at the end of the games. They were outmatched in every physical attribute going into the game, and they would somehow come out. And so I think that in football, the head coach is maybe the second most important position after the quarterback. And then obviously the offensive line. I want to get after my unsung heroes, or I forgot the last segment what it was called, but I definitely think that the head coach is an unsung hero. And then obviously, I don't think they get a lot of credit, but I don't think bat dogs get enough credit. I don't think we're exploring bat dogs, but I don't think they get enough credit for really what they're doing out there. I think it's really, really impressive what those bat dogs are doing. And I'm not really going to speak to managing in baseball because it's just you either have a feel for it or you don't. And sometimes I just think you got it or you don't. And I don't know about this guy right here. And I don't think that managing's that important. But, when you put in Clark Schmidt in the sixth inning of a tie ball game in the playoffs, and I know you don't have a lot, but you have to kind of get creative in those moments. And when you do something like that, it's just not for me. Not for me. And that's why I like to yell during the regular. People are like, why are you yelling in the regular season in June? It's like, because I'm trying to tell this guy not to do this in October. And I don't think I yelled enough about how bad Clark Schmidt was, because that's right where we got to. So, sorry, I'm going on a tangent a little bit, but definitely not the baseball manager. They're not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, you kind of got to look at all aspects of it. I think there are some good managers on some bad teams, and there are some bad managers on good teams, and that's just kind of how the way it shakes out.
For sure. And I don't really necessarily think he's a bad manager. I just want everybody to be great. Like, at all times. Like, that's just why do it if you're not. And you know what? Again, Aaron Boone, nice guy. As far as we're going for personality traits and human beings, awesome guy. Adopted children, great dude. Like, absolutely great. No, I just don't think he's the best at making decisions in game on baseball. So, I mean, a lot worse could be said. A lot worse.
Yeah. Two things Aaron Boone is not good at: pickup basketball and game time decisions.
You said it, not me.
So let's kind of move on to a happy topic and kind of a staple as far as this show. Growing up and living in South Dakota, Mount Rushmore is a huge staple of South Dakota, so got to put it in the show as well. So Mount Rushmore is kind of four things that is chosen. The theme is chosen by the person who's being interviewed for the show. And you just kind of give your four. We've had anything from, staples of Wisconsin to, quarterback wide receiver duos to, DBs, kind of basketball shoes, anything. So.
Okay, so I have two quick ones. One's extremely simple and one's a food one. The simple one, I know it's Super Bowl week and I know this comes out afterwards, but I did want to do top. And I didn't do my quarterback rankings out on Twitter yet, so I'm basically releasing my top four for the end of season rankings. And I think unless the Eagles win, my guys might change a tiny bit, but the top two will probably remain no matter what. My top current quarterbacks, Mount Rushmore of top current quarterbacks. Number one, Patrick Mahomes. I think that's indisputable.
Yeah.
Guy didn't have a leg last week and beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, number two. Absolute legend. The guy is never out of a game. Like, absolutely never out of a game. Didn't have three starting offensive linemen. Got the ball out quicker. Absolute winner. That guy is just a winner. And it was actually really weird because I had this guy number one at one point. I know there's no real rankings on the actual Mount Rushmore, and I should probably go check out the Mount Rushmore sometime. I should probably go do that. some point. Third, Josh Allen. Again, for 1 week this year, I had Josh Allen ranked number 1. And I didn't really believe it, but he was doing things that were just so cool. And like that Rams game, the week 1, a lot has changed since then, but they looked so good, and he was great. And then number 4, I'm giving it to Jalen Hurts. He's proved it this year, and there are a couple guys that have a lot more credentials, but he has lost 1 game this year. And I know the Philadelphia Eagles, they didn't play anyone very good this entire season. Like, straight up. Like, Bengals, Chiefs, Bills all played each other, beat up each other. You have the Ravens, or just a lot of teams that are really good in the AFC. And in the NFC, it's not their fault. But they haven't beaten a really good team yet. And that's crazy to say since they've been playing every single weekend since September. Like, it's crazy to say that they haven't played anyone really good. That changes this week. We'll see what happens. I still think they're the better team. Who knows? I know it's in the Super Bowl preview, but those are my top 4 current quarterbacks. I don't know what your thoughts are on that list.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid list. Just some ones that I personally like or I enjoy watching. If the game's on, I'm going to watch it. Herbert, I think he's up there. Everybody calls him a social media quarterback, but I think under a good system, I think he will have a good system with Kellen Moore there. And, Joe Staley can now focus on the defense a little bit better because he's a defensive-minded guy. And even Daniel Jones, I think he's got Brian Daboll there, who's the offensive guy and the quarterback's coach for Buffalo, and you see how good Josh Allen is. And Daniel Jones had a great year. So I think, Giants fans should be happy and see a second kind of Eli Manning-esque quarterback.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so I have my list right here. So I didn't know if we were doing a draft or not, what was going on, so I have a list. I have Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Jalen Hurts 4. The people would hate this online. I think I'm still going to release it. Aaron Rodgers 5. Still. Obviously not per AAV how much he's making, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Trevor Lawrence 6. Justin Herbert 7, because, I mean, hey, he beat him.
Yeah.
And Herbert has more 6, 7. I have Lamar Jackson 8. I have Justin Fields 9.
Okay.
And I thought about this a lot. I have Dak Prescott still 10. He's been too good in the race. I have Kyler at 11, Daniel Jones at 12. And if I wanted to be smart, what, I probably should release it with Daniel Jones at 10 because, I mean, I'd probably get more engagement that way. Tua at 13, Kenny Pickett at 14, Jared Goff at 15. That's my list.
That's a solid list.
It was not easy to well, it wasn't too hard to. I always go back to my old lists because I want to stay somewhat consistent. But yeah, I could talk about. I could list quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, all day. And I wanted on notice we do not want Evan Ingram back. I know he was on a 1-year, $9 million deal with the Jaguars, and he played amazing. And he is amazing. And that's another guy that I've messaged in the past with. Love Evan Ingram. We're good. The Giants, it's not here. for whatever
Yeah,
reason, as a neighbor.
he's
That's
no Travis
a
Kelce.
public service announcement because I didn't really know how to handle that one.
Yeah, he's not like one of your really good buddies, Travis Kelce.
Correct, and that's why I am rooting for the Chiefs. My good friend Paul Rudd. I don't know if you ever heard the story about me and Paul Rudd, but that's a different one, which is insane. But yeah, Paul Rudd, my good friend Paul Rudd, who I know very well, and Travis Kelce, who's basically, we both have brothers. We bonded over my sweatshirt. He was tough. I mean, he was basically on my fantasy team. He's won me money. 2 touchdown score prop 2 weeks ago. Just absolutely great dude, cool dude. Ripped the mayor of Cincinnati a new Heine, and yeah, just incredible dude. So shout out to Travis Kelce.
Awesome. Shout out Travis Kelce, baby. So you said you had a food Mount Rushmore. Let's hear that one.
Okay, yeah. So food Mount Rushmore. I was just gonna do pizza toppings, very simple, and I think pepperoni's clear cut number one. I don't think I don't think that you could really argue with anything other than pepperoni one. Sausage number 2. Bacon number 3. And then, this is tough. But I'm going to say meatball number 4. And honorable mention, sopressata. You get some like spicy sopressata on the pizza under it, really good. And obviously, Sicilian's good, cheese is good. But those are my Mount Rushmore tops. I don't know what kind of pizza fan you are, but that just had to be said. Pepperoni one. Yeah. And you want to go on the other way, but pepperoni's number 1.
Yeah. I'm a huge pizza guy. I grew up pretty much only eating pizza, so this is a good one for me. My family is a Chicago family, so Chicago style pizza is huge in my family. So the sauce on top, huge. Like, love it. It's a delicacy in our household. So kind of, if you can count it as a topping, the sauce on top.
Right.
I would say, kind of the little shredded pieces of chicken. You get like a chicken Alfredo or like a buffalo chicken pizza. And then kind of staying on that.
Buffalo chicken.
Yeah.
Huge omission by me. I really went in depth on my top quarterback side. That's a huge omission. Buffalo chicken needs to be 4. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, or even like barbecue chicken. Those are, those little chicken pieces are so good. Yeah, and then one more. I'll give you. Can never go wrong, with some Parmesan cheese. I don't know. Just it's always at the table for you to sit on.
I think that's like an extra. But
extra? Okay.
I mean, you nailed it. You found the huge omission. You went into the bottom of the ocean. You found that buffalo chicken. You brought it out, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Buffalo chicken, actually, probably 3 on my power ranking if we're really talking about it. May even be a 2. It could be a Josh Allen, Joe Burrow situation, depending on the pizzeria.
Yeah, kind of whoever wins at that time.
Exactly.
Is who the best.
Exactly. It's a now league.
For sure. Alrighty, so that's kind of all I have. Do you have anything else for me?
No, well, let's do this. We have a couple minutes. I don't think you want to. I don't know how long you want to run it, but let's just do Yankees predictions. the earliest Yankees prediction on the internet right now.
Mm-hmm.
You go first. Let's hear it.
Alrighty, so I think Rodon is going to win the Cy Young or be up for Cy Young contention. Garrett Cole may get votes, but I think Rodon's going to be the guy. I think we're going to end up trading Donaldson or DFAing him. Same with Hicks. And I think we're going to go with the young guys at short, third, and left field. And whatever is the biggest hole out of those three, we'll trade for a mid-tier guy, kind of like what Benintendi was. We'll kind of trade for a mid-tier guy there by the trade deadline. And I think we'll make it to the World Series and we'll win it. I think we'll beat the Padres.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, no, I was just going to keep it really quite simple, and I don't know if you do sound bites or whatever, but look at me right here. The New York Yankees have the starting pitching this year. The New York Yankees have the starting pitching this year, and they're getting it done. They will get it done this year. The offense, 3 runs a game, 4 runs a game, doesn't matter. They have the starting pitching. Nestor Cortez is the 4th best pitcher. Made the All-Star game last year, people. Yankees, 2023 World Series champions. And you know what? We're going to build off of that. You know, you liken other media groups. You know, a young Dave Portnoy seeing the Patriots win and helping their brand grow. Well, that's the same thing that happens when the New York Yankees win it all for the sports chill. We get hyped up. We get champagne bottles flowing. We get on the duck boat. We get content. We're winning it all this year. And you know what? If it's not this year, it'll be next year or the year after that because it's coming sometime. It has to. It just absolutely has to happen once again. And just stay up, Yankee fans. Stay up.
Absolutely. Fire, fire, fire. So, real quick question. I just thought of one thing before I let you go. I asked my last guest, who is he's Jason Varitek's assistant, and he's the replay manager for the Sox, Mike Brenly. We talked about Titletown. So, people kind of think of Boston as Titletown, although I kind of think of they were only Titletown when Tom Brady was there, because that's when Boston won all of their titles. But you kind of look at history, and you put New York in there. You know, I mean, the Yankees themselves can, compete just calling themselves Titletown. You got L.A., you got Philly, you got, Florida, Texas, kind of a whole bunch of other big cities. Who would you say is Titletown and who maybe be kind of in the running?
I mean, I don't think anybody deserves it right now. If you're not, like, again, the New York sports stink. Like, clearly not Titletown. No one has won anything since 2011. I don't think anyone really deserves it right now. I don't. And because, okay, let's say the Chiefs win. Like, all right, that's 2 championships. But the Kansas City Royals stink. Like, I don't know. I guess if you had to crown somebody a Titletown right now, I guess it would still be Boston because the Celtics are really good. The Bruins are really good. Nobody cares about hockey, but they are. And the Patriots haven't been bad enough, long enough yet. Mm-hmm. But, they have 6 to 12 months to win a championship, or but I just don't want to be they're not Titletown guy, and then in 6 months Jason Tatum is holding a championship, and then I'm sitting back here thinking that wasn't the smartest decision that I've ever had. So yeah, I'll give it to them right now. I have no problem with it. My mother is from Boston. I have a rivalry with my cousins and stuff about Boston sports and New York sports. But, one thing I'm not going to do ever is lie to you. And New York sports just don't hold the candle to that right now. Mm-hmm. And that's because we're talking titles. We don't have titles right now. I mean, I've won currently 5 World Series champions. Like, I'm a 5-time World Series champion. Like, that's just a fact. That is just a fact. But we haven't won 13 years, so it's been tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, if Philly can actually pull one off, they might be in consideration, but, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Alrighty. Well, that's all I have for you today. Would you like to say anything before I let you go?
No, you're doing a great job. Follow Yankees Pod on Twitter. I mean, you do a great job running it over there. I usually in the past I was usually like very hands on and getting into it, but you basically have my mannerisms down and tweet out the right stuff, and you get the flow of the program over there. So I don't really do it, but you do a great job over there, and yeah, I'm excited for the season, and I'm excited. Great job interviewing. I mean, hey, listen, you're gonna look back on this one in 5 years and be like, wow, it's been so. You're gonna be on episode 2,500, and like Joe Rogan's gonna be coming, and he's gonna be coming to your podcast, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. So dream big, dream for stars. Don't quit your day job, but never stop grinding and never stop believing in yourself. Anybody out there that thinks, oh, I can't do something, you know I can't do something because you said you couldn't do it. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in yourself, love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life, people.
Awesome. That was fire. Well, thanks, Jimmy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Cam.
Okay, that was the Jimmy Randazzo, Coach Randazzo interview. Hope you enjoyed it. He's got a long and great journey, and he was one of the guys to kind of help me along my social media journey and my kind of sports media production journey as well. He was one that he found me and has taught me kind of a lot in the past year on how to kind of use social media as a platform and a tool to kind of help you grow. So, he's one that, is always good to have in your back pocket when it comes to sports media. So kind of going along with the rest of our show here, we've got, another crazy A-Rod story, and then we'll round out with kind of another story of my own. The first story, the A-Rod story. So this one is kind of a little more about his personal life. The year was 2004. He was kind of going through some divorce things with his wife, Cynthia. And it was kind of all in reference to when the big Jewish craze Kabbalah was introduced. And it was kind of a form of meditation that was supposed to promote good success in the Jewish religion. And there was famous stars, like Britney Spears and Madonna that were kind of doing that. And Madonna was the one that introduced it to A-Rod. Now, there was this whole kind of relationship tree that was kind of going on. Madonna was married to a director while was apparently in ties with A-Rod because she was seen at a lot of Yankees games and such. And A-Rod was with his wife, who was pregnant with one of his daughters at the time, but was also seen to have rumored to be with Lenny Kravitz. All of those rumors were denied. But, it's just kind of something to kind of be on the lookout and keep an eye on. And then, with this kind of Madonna thing, there was a little snippet from one of A-Rod's old trainers and one of his really good friends. He said it was the hardest thing to do to say goodbye to him, but he was just so obsessed and brainwashed. Madonna had brainwashed him to do this Kabbalah thing, and he became so obsessed with it. He would apparently go into like trances and stuff when he would only listen to Madonna songs and that kind of stuff. So he was just a weird dude, and he would be up in his New York apartment doing that for a long, long time. it caused it became so much for him, and he was so obsessed with it that he actually kind of broke off from his family entirely and was just so obsessed with it. I mean, his game on the field was really good. You know, he won a Silver Slugger, he led the league in slugging, that kind of stuff. But that could have also been a part of the steroids, which you would see in what Jose Canseco would talk about in his book Vindicated, which kind of just opened up the whole portal of steroids in baseball. Um, Now the second story is another personal story. This is when I was a little kid. So this one's going to be a little bit cleaner. It's a story when I thought I was about to get into a fight at 8 years old with Ragnar the Viking. So my family went to a Denver Broncos Minnesota Vikings preseason game. This was Tebow's rookie year. My family was all Tebow fans. My mom is a Vikings fan, and it was also Brett Favre. He was solid, and on the Vikings as well, kind of doing his little farewell tour. So we're kind of watching the game. We got some good seats, about 4 or 5 rows up from one of the end zones at the old Metrodome, and just kind of the experience was pretty cool as a young kid. I wasn't a Broncos fan. I was a Colts fan still at the time, so just kind of enjoying it, waiting for Tebow to get in. Being a huge Tebow fan, kind of my whole life, was really excited to kind of see him be a pro, and this the Vikings and the Broncos were kind of going back and forth, but I think the Vikings were winning at the time, and they put Tebow in, and they were kind of driving. Well, Ragnar the Viking was down on the set, like on the field, and saw me standing up cheering because I wanted to watch Tim Tebow play, and he was chirping at me, and I started chirping back, and I was such a young kid, I don't even remember what I had said, but and said something to fire him up enough to where he kind of pointed at me, looked where I was sitting, and he came up, and oh man, he scared me, but he ended up, I had a ball with me, he signed it. I almost pooped my pants at an NFL game. So I would join an elite company of guys like Lamar Jackson who poop their pants at an NFL game. So just one of those things. Got to take another cool picture where it looks like I'm choking them out. So I choked out a Viking. That's also pretty cool. But that's our show. Hope you liked it. Wanted to keep kind of both the intro and the outro short and sweet because this interview was good. Wanted to keep as much as I could in the interview. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Hey you, yeah, I'm talking to you. Hope you liked that episode. If you liked it, please leave a like and a comment down below. And if you want to explore more, we got more videos right here and right here. So please tune in and watch more of the We Know Ball show, as well as our monthly preview show, The Wrap Up, where we go through kind of some history of sports, as well as kind of what happened throughout the month and kind of what we're looking forward to in the future. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night.